Hello and good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufus Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So today we'll be talking about the top things to watch in the markets this week, including the Apple's iPhone 16 launch, which is happening today. So there is quite a number of things on the calendar, and we'll be going through them, trying to understand which ones might be impacting the markets this week. So as you can see from what we have here, the Apple's iPhone event is happening today. So we know that the launch is usually a big day in the markets, and we are already seeing signs. So far, the stock markets have started on a positive note. We can see a lot of stock markets making a big rally, with the Japan's Nikkei 225 index taking the highlights. So as you can see in early morning, we had Japan's news coming in fast. Bank lending was up 3% year over year, though it missed expectations at the previous reading of 3.2%. The current account, which is basically the difference between exports and imports, was up to 2.8 trillion yen, which is way better than the previous reading, which was 1.78. Then we had final GDP price index. It was up 3.2%, better than expected. Then we had the final GDP quarter over quarter, which was 0.7% up, which missed expectations of 0.8%. And of course, slightly lower than the previous reading of 0.8%, but still a good data point. So next, we had Chinese inflation data. China's inflation came in at 0.6%, slightly higher than the previous reading of 0.5, but missing the 0.7% expectation, whereas the producer price index came in at negative 1.8%, which was slightly worse than the previous reading of 0.8% and worse than the expectation of 1.5%, which indicates potential deflation in China. So going forward for the rest of the day, we don't have any other major news. We'll be looking at Centix investor confidence for the Eurozone, final wholesale inventories month over month for the US, and consumer credit month over month for the US. So besides that, if we do a quick filter of the calendar today and for the week, you'll notice that there's quite a number of things, with the US CPI taking the highlight. So tomorrow on Tuesday, we'll be looking at the job claims or unemployment claims in the UK, as well as a speech from the Bank of Canada Governor Mark Lem. Then later on Wednesday, we'll be looking at the GDP data from the UK. And of course, the key highlight of the week will be the CPI from the USA, where we have an expectation that inflation may have slowed down to 2.6%, down from the previous reading of 2.9%. So we will be looking at a potential interest rate decision by the ECB or the European Central Bank, where interest rates are expected to drop from 4.25% to 3.65%. And here we are looking at, I would say, at least 0.6% cut, or basically 60 basis point cut. So later on, after the announcement, we're also expecting a monetary policy statement by the ECB. This is expected to be quite volatile for the euro as well as European stocks. Then we will be looking at the producer price index from the US, both core PPI and the PPI. This is on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Weekly unemployment claims, as well as the ECB press conference on Thursday, with little to no news on Friday, September 13. So with that being the expectation, if you look at the highlights this morning, the biggest highlight is that China's inflation rate came in below estimates. Two, we have European shares rebounding this morning. Malaysia retail sales growth at 3-month low. Indonesia consumer mood strengthens to 3-month high. Or oil rises after a sharp decline, which basically touched the $70 price level. Japan's Q2 GDP growth revised slightly lower, and Saudi Q2 GDP shrinks slightly less than anticipated. So with that being the main highlight, we'll be looking at other things. So let's jump straight to Apple's iPhone event. So Apple iPhone 16 launch, how to watch the special event. Apple's next iPhones are almost here, and they will be announced on Monday, September 9. Here is all you need to know about when and how to watch the announcements as they unfold, as you can read the full details of what will happen after the keynote here. So Apple special event date and time, that's Monday, September 9, which is today. It's worth emphasizing that this keynote is on a Monday. Apple has never launched an iPhone on a Monday before. It's usually a Tuesday or occasionally a Wednesday. So the reason for the change hasn't officially been revealed, but for sure the clash with the presidential debate between Trump and Kamala Harris would have been a part of it. That's due to take place on Tuesday. So quick update that we'll be having that presidential debate tomorrow, and that is also expected to be impacting the markets. So a lot of investors are expecting a heightened debate between the two, and that could have some impact in the markets. So there are several ways to watch the keynote, which has been filmed. It's not a live event, though there is an in-person component for members of the press to watch the broadcast at the Steve Jobs Theater in Apple Park. So I believe this should be available on the Apple website as well as the Apple TV Watch. So besides that, I'm trying to look at what else is new. So in this case, we have a comprehensive article showing all the important components for the week. So just a quick highlight, the SP 500 was down by 3.28% last week. We saw the Nasdaq being down 2.37%, whereas the Dow Jones was the biggest loser, down from 4.7%. So this week has started on a positive note, and we are seeing some good recoveries. So we could be seeing some more upside happening this week. So the jobs report came in weaker than expected at 142,000 jobs in August, with two revisions for the June and July reports, indicating that the unemployment rate in the US is increasing, even though we saw 4.2%. But the number of jobs being revised downwards is becoming a worrying trend in the markets. So as of Friday afternoon, markets were pricing in a 25% chance that the Fed opts for a 50 basis point cut in September, down from 40% seen the day prior. So there's still big expectations for a big rate cut on the 18th of September when the Fed FOMC will be meeting. And at the same time, the focus is on the CPI later this week, which is expected to get closer to 2%. Then I believe on the earnings calendar, we'll have quite a number of companies reporting. So on one side, we have Oracle and Rubrik reporting their earnings today. Then on Tuesday, we'll have a couple of more stocks reporting earnings. So we should be looking at Academy Sports and Outdoors, Dave & Buster's, then GameStop and Petco reporting on Tuesday. Fast forward to Wednesday, I know there's quite a number of you who are football fans. We should be seeing earnings from Manchester United as well as Vera Bradley. Then on Thursday, we get a big earnings announcement from Adobe. We'll also be looking at Big Lots, Kroger, as well as RH. So on Friday, there will be no notable earnings. So that being said, if you are enjoying the session so far, kindly feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on X, kindly like and retweet the live session so we can have more traders enjoying these sessions. So there is quite a number of comments that I'm already seeing. Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, Wangari. Good morning, Hillary. There's a request to check on USD JPY as well as the SP 500. Please help me understand on FOMC, since they say they are going to cut rate on 18th. does that mean the dollar is going to be strong or weak? I'll be covering that too. There's a question on inflation. How does it happen and how does it affect the market? And what do you mean by interest rate cut? And good morning, Lazen Bet. So I enjoy when you guys raise these questions. Namiza Jack, thank you for joining the session. I appreciate seeing you here. Top scared, most promising pair this week. I'll be checking on that. So let's jump straight for it and look at the charts, try to understand where the markets might be headed next. So as usual, I would like to start with the dollar index. So as you can see, the price action this morning is just hour after hour, where the dollar index is just regaining strength. So far, we are seeing quite a positive momentum on the dollar index, which is seemingly likely to break a major trend line that we had been experiencing here, and also approaching the highest price as of last week. So notice the price action of last week, where the week opened here, moved sideways before we had a big sell-off to 100.533. And then the market recovered on Friday, and today it's making a big momentum upwards. So this is replicated across board. So if you are a Euro USD trader, you can see how the Euro has been losing to the strong dollar, and now it's approaching a major support area. So the support area is all the way down around 1.10257. So in this case, the overall expectation is that the market completes the move and gets all the way down to 1.10257. So as for the pound USD, we are seeing the market potentially breaking the support, which represents the lowest price that we saw last week on Friday. This was on Tuesday. So in this case, the expectation is that if we break this support, then the market heads straight down to 1.30426, which was a major resistance, now turned into a support. So in this case, some further downside momentum is expected on the pound USD pair. So as for the pound yen, we are seeing the market slowing down despite the strong volatility that we saw last week. So if we remove everything else, you look at the daily chart, it's a clear downwards trend after the market made a big move downwards, some recovery, and now it's moving further downwards. So if you take this to the 4-hour chart, this is how it looks like. You can see the consequent weeks where the market was moving sideways, grabbed some liquidity here before making a big drop. From the 1-hour chart, if you zoom out, then we both know that this was a major turn of events. I'll try and highlight this. So if this was the major resistance and this was the major support for a couple of weeks, we had a breakout towards the lower side, and the market accelerated on Friday. Today we have a pullback, so a potential continuation could be playing out after the market made quite an impressive recovery this morning. So this is what we are looking at, and this is on the 15 minutes chart. So it's making more of a, I would call it a horn or a loudspeaker when you really think about it. So with this kind of momentum, of course, it's a Monday, we don't expect much volatility, but I expect the market to remain within the confines of the last 5 days, where we are seeing this oscillation between this upper and lower trend line. So we could remain within these limits for the day, which means that it's within safe limits to operate between Friday's high as well as the Friday's low. So the market is more likely to trade within these two confines. So for AUD/USD, we know that the Australian dollar has been one of the strongest currencies in the market, but now we are seeing a very strong dollar in the market, and now the market is pushing further downwards. So it may not have as much room to keep moving lower, but I believe we should be looking at this area here as a potential target. Notice the way the market has been acting around this area here, and now the market is about to go for the same level. So if you go to the 1-hour chart, this is how it looks like. So a potential further drop as the dollar strengthens, Notice the drop below this support area here, the retest and continuation, which implies a likely extension to 0.66340. So as for USDN, this is a chart that has already been requested on the comment section. We had this major bottom here happening in the month of August. And now in September, we saw the market retesting here, and this was on Friday. And immediately after we got here, we had a nice bounce, and the market is making quite an acceleration today. So I expect to see some further upside basically happening today. Already, we have some levels to be concerned about, including the highest price that we saw during the non-farm payrolls on Friday. So potentially, I expect this uptick to continue today and at least retest this area here, which is 144.047 for USDN. So the biggest mover this morning has been the Nikkei 225 index. The market is already up 3.75% from the bottom that we saw on Friday. So I expect that this bearish momentum has come to an end, and now we are seeing an upturn of events with a potential target of 37,200. So in this case, I expect this momentum to continue today and the market to potentially hit this level. Could be today or even tomorrow, but it's a quite very strong bounce that we normally describe as a V-shaped recovery. So there's still more room for upside. So we could be seeing some further upside in the London and New York sessions. So as for gold, what we are seeing is more of a range momentum. I would say that gold has been trading between this support and this resistance for a while. We had a great price action on Thursday and Friday. So on Thursday is the market hitting here and rejecting immediately. Then on Friday, during the non-farm payrolls, we had a big surprise drop and then a big rally within the non-farm payrolls announcement. And then the market had a big sell-off later on, ending the week at this area. So this week, we have seen the market open slightly bullish and then make a big drop and retest the lowest price on Friday. So in this case, I believe that this was the momentum phase. This is when we had a lot of momentum in gold. And now we're entering a consolidation phase. So the price action that we are seeing today is likely to be less volatile unless there is something new happening in the markets. So I don't expect a major move. So perhaps something along the confines of the high we have seen in the morning and the low that we had on Friday and this morning. So I expect the market to just be moving sideways for today as we wait for more events that will drive momentum later in the week. So Brent is making some good recovery after touching $70 per barrel. So after getting all the way down to 70.483, we are seeing some form of recovery. Of course, it's Monday, so we don't expect much of a momentum, and the limits for the upside might be defined by this trend line here. So we could be seeing the market extending the rally to along these areas here and potentially maintaining the same level or the same formation. So we could be seeing the market continuing with this path as we continue seeing this form of consolidation playing out. So the market is in a consolidation mode, and we could be seeing something fueling volatility later in the week. But for now, the market remains within this formation. So for US equities, they opened with a gap. For instance, the Nasdaq, there was a gap, in this case to the upside, and the market has continued pushing higher. Of course, we know that this is a likely target, the bottom price here before the market broke towards the lower side. So there's still more room for upside before we see other events fueling market activity. So this recovery is being seen across board. For the Dow Jones, we're also seeing this price action level. The market is already very close or within targets, and for SP 500 is quite a similar event. We are seeing strong bullish momentum in the market potentially, retesting a crucial price point of around 54, 57. So big drop happening last week, and now we're opening with a good recovery, and the market will potentially retest this area here. So the Russell 2000 is experiencing the weakest of recovery compared to the other three top indices in the US. And so far, it's already beginning to show some weakness. The overall trend seems to be bearish. So we could be seeing some further downside momentum over the week. Whereas if you look at Bitcoin, it also opened with a good recovery today. So far, we are seeing some good uptick. Potentially, we could be seeing 56,100 as the next price action level, which was serving as a previous support, now turned into a resistance. So perhaps we could be seeing the market going for that one and then potentially extending the bearish momentum. So more of a recovery, or what we call a dead cat bounce, and the market just maintains the same price action pattern. So as for Apple, you can see that it has had quite a good momentum. So in May, June, July, this is when we had the strongest price action before the market pulled back downwards. Then we had quite a strong recovery in August before the market pulled back down again. And now at market open, we'll be expecting to see some good activity. So please be ready for some price action at the New York Open as we look at Apple stock, and the announcement could be bringing more speculation into the stock. So far in, I would call it pre-market trading, the stock is up 0.88%, and year-to-date performance is 18.95%. So we could be seeing more price action activity happening later in the day. So as for the dollar trading against the Swiss franc, we had projections last week that the market would drop to the support area. So it eventually got to that target on Friday and made quite a strong bounce. So today we are seeing an acceleration of that, and a major trend line has been broken here, which was basically acting as resistance. So right now the market is accelerating higher. We are already at the Friday's high. So if you are bullish on this one, you should be probably be looking at a TP1 around this area here, with a likely extension to Thursday's highest price on USD Swiss franc. So for New Zealand USD, it seems like a free fall. So far, the market has made quite a big drop as the dollar regains strength. So this is a key level to watch where the market could potentially bounce from. But if there is a big break below this area here, then we could be seeing a potential extension down to 0.60835. So UK 100, I think we already covered that. Let's check it out. FTSE 100 index. Yeah, so we already saw the market making a very strong bounce, and this was the major support area before the market broke towards the lower side. So now we saw the market making a strong rally, and now it's struggling to move further above that, which means that now we are likely to see some further downside momentum. If you look at the 15 minutes chart and you zoom out, then you notice that this level is likely to hold as the resistance and the market to continue pushing further back downwards. So checking on the comment section again to make sure that we haven't missed any of the questions. So there was a question on SP500 and USD-Yen. We already covered that. The question on FOMC. So the Federal Open Market Committee of the US has two jobs or mandates. So one of the mandates is to maintain stable prices in the economy. So far, by hiking interest rates, they have enforced inflation to come back down towards 2% target. So there's one more report that is expected before the Fed meeting on September 18th. And that's why the CPI becomes the top event in the markets this week. So the FOMC is basically looking forward to address the job market situation where we have seen unemployment rising. We have seen downwards revisions in 8 of the last 9 months, where the number of jobs reported initially are revised downwards the following month, indicating some further weakness in the US job market, with some of the numbers reported being down over 800,000 accumulated numbers. This basically means that there's quite a weak job market in the US, and that mandate of maintaining full employment by the Fed has not been met. So in this case, the expectation is that the Fed reverses policy, starts cutting interest rates because inflation has already been solved. And in that case, we expect a rate cut on the September 18th. So the big difference is whether the Fed will be cutting interest rates by 25 basis points or whether they will be cutting by 50 basis points. So in this case, if we happen to see an interest rate cut, the direct or the overall impact is a weaker dollar. So we should be expecting to see a much weaker dollar ahead of the September 18th meeting. So from Ernest, I'm seeing this set of two questions. I think this is really good. What is inflation and how does it happen? Inflation is the overall increase in the general prices. Main reason that we see inflation increasing is because of the supply of money. So when there's more money chasing after the same amount of goods or similar amount of goods, then that leads to an increase in prices. When there's less money chasing after the same goods, then we get the opposite of inflation, or what we call deflation. So the central banks around the world usually try to maintain stable prices by basically jacking up or cutting interest rates, which basically controls the amount of money supply in an economy. For instance, in Kenya, we have seen that the current central bank governor came in with new policies that drove our interest rates as high as 13.5%. And these led to a strengthening of the Kenya shilling, where on one side we had seen prices as high as 163 shillings to the dollar, and now we are back to 128, 129 because the central bank increased interest rates. So in this case, the overall expectation for the US economy, if the Fed starts cutting interest rates, is that the currency now starts weakening because it had strengthened during the period when the interest rates were moving higher. So I hope I've answered that question. So most promising pair this week, I believe that we are seeing a lot of activity on the euro as well as the dollar. There is an overall expectation that we will be seeing a bigger than expected rate cut in the eurozone. So a bigger than expected rate cut would mean that we see a much weaker euro happening ahead of the European Central Bank interest rate decision. So in this case, I would say the most promising pair today, not this week, is Euro USD. So a potential short and extension to this support area here. So if I was looking for a pair to trade today, I would be more likely than not to be focusing on the Euro USD currency pair. There's a comment I'm missing here. Kiongua, what is that? So the link to our classes is already available in the comment section. Kindly check that. Good question from Wangari Patrick. Where has gold been selling off since the non-farm payrolls? Everything fundamentals points to a weak dollar, but the market is going against these. Where is it strong again? Can we expect gold to recover? So for now, it seems like a nice bounce from the events of last week. So it's quite a normal scenario to see the market reacting the way it's doing. So in this case, gold is still very bullish. If you go to a higher time frame, and this is the daily chart, you'll notice the number of times that gold has traded along this area, which is very close to its all-time high. So just zoom into this. Notice how gold has really struggled to break above its all-time high around 22, 25.28 and 25.31. So right now, we are seeing a pullback, and now it's clear that gold is now trading in a range. So it's in consolidation mode. So we are seeing these up, down kind of momentum. So still very bullish, and now we are approaching the lower side of the range. So at any point within this area here, we should be looking for more buys on gold as it maintains the same price action momentum of moving up, down, up, down. So in this case, the better entry areas remain around this yellow rectangle between the current price and 24.73, and the market maintains this sideways momentum until we have something else fueling the momentum. Of course, the momentum is expected to increase during the CPI news later this Wednesday, and of course, the September 18 interest rate decision. So for now, it seems more likely that the market might find some support and make a big momentum move upwards as gold attempts to break into a new all-time high. So thank you, Raymond, for sharing the link for the 20 to 50 basis point cut. So for those watching from YouTube, kindly check the live, or from X, you'll see a comment with the link for the 25 basis point cut to 50 basis point cut expectation from the Fed. I've already covered the pound USD as well as euro USD. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your participation. I really appreciate when you guys drop a comment, share, or like the video. So remember, these sessions happen every day, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. And if you are just starting your trading journey, make sure to check the links in the description below to register for a trading account. If you're watching this on X, make sure to register by going to the FX Pesa handle. And at the same time, remember, we have a new episode on the Bullish Banter podcast. It's available on YouTube as well as other podcast platforms. We have a new episode coming up for the financially incorrect platform. So make sure to check that out. And today, as the New York market open approaches, make sure to check the activity on the NASDAQ as well as the Apple iPhone 16 launch event, which is usually quite positive for the Apple stock. So thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy a good trading week and have a peaceful day.